It's just about 11 o'clock a.m. Saturday morning, July 28th, and I am walking back towards my apartment, and I didn't stay very long at Octane. I don't know. Even though it was the destination, the journey and the fun and everything of the walk itself was going to be the walk itself. So I've already started going back. I'm almost to State already, and I'm going to walk down Cortlandt Avenue back straight to my apartment, which is probably the most direct way I can get back. And then I should have a couple hours at least before I have to go to work. So maybe I will end up doing push-ups or something. I'm not really sure. I'm definitely noticeably more tired having woken up early, before 8 o'clock. Went to bed last night at around 1:20 or so. And I know Benjamin Franklin in the old Poor Richard's Almanac, I'm pretty sure he coined the early to bed, early to rise little quip. And I like the early to rise part, but I hate the early to bed. It seems like such a waste of time. I really hate going to bed early. And right now, contemplating whether or not to do push-ups. Don't really want to. May not. But I won't continue that dialogue with myself any further. It's pretty boring. Across the street. As I'm drawing closer to school, makes me think about going to it soon, the 20th of August. Last night I downloaded my schedule, and I'm going to be taking 16 credit hours. So I think one more class than I usually would. I'm really trying to knock out this semester as efficiently and quickly as possible. And so I'm taking an intro to linguistics class, which will eventually, it will certify me to be a TEFL certificate recipient, which I really could have used during this period of teaching Elizabeth and Bach. But, it's never too late, I suppose, and better late than never. So I'll be able to learn a few things about teaching pedagogically, I don't know. So that'll be good. That's part of a, I think, 5-course series, and this is the first course that I have to take for the semester. It's a prerequisite, and after I pass it, I can take all the rest of the classes, I think, concurrently, which will be good because hopefully I'll only have one semester after this coming fall semester. And then I have 4 psychology classes. Social psychology, advanced research and design, which is a statistics-based program. Social, I don't remember. Cross-cultural, advanced research methods and design. What's the 4th? It's not cognitive psychology. I don't know. Regardless, I need to be on top of everything these coming semesters so that I can make sure that I graduate on time. It'd be a goddamn shame if something happened and I wasn't able to enter the Peace Corps when I thought, or wasn't able to graduate when I thought. but I think worst case scenario, definitely be graduated by the time, I guess a year from now, summer, the end of summer term at State, definitely will be graduated. And I'm on the State campus now. Looks like I got some parents and a future student touring, as in the computer maker. Today is still the 28th, and I'm still walking home. I had to stop the previous clip because I was behind a family that was figuring stuff out about the campus, I guess at State and all, and it was kind of awkward because I couldn't really pass them because they were taking up the whole sidewalk, so I stopped. And I'm pretty much all the way home now, and I just had a little bit of a walk with a homeless man named Enoch from Philadelphia. Really solid guy. I could tell he wasn't doing anything bad. Definitely not any kind of deranged person, just down on his luck, I guess. And so we were talking for a little while. It's funny because he's the second person now who asked me on my way home if I knew where I was going or where I was. And when he first came up to me, he asked me if I knew where I was going. And I was like, yeah. I started to laugh. Because I guess a white guy walking on the street is kind of a rare sight around here. And I know the area. I know it's kind of shady, but I also am pretty sure I can handle myself. So we started walking and talking about stuff, and he was telling me a little bit of his story, trying to make a better life for himself down here. And we didn't walk for too long and started talking about how the soup kitchen that he was used to going to has different hours on the weekend. They open at 8 instead of 10. So I guess he had missed his meal for today, but he said he was really just trying to get a jug of water for the day. And we were crossing by a road that would take him directly to Publix. And I just told him, I'll give you the money you need to get that jug. And I hadn't really intended on giving him any money, but I had a feeling that if we kept walking, by the time we got to my apartment, he would be asking to come in, and I'd have to deny him. Not because I didn't really want to help him, but just because, I have 3 female roommates, and I don't think they want me to bring in a homeless man from the street to give him some water. And I don't blame them for that. I don't really want to do it either, but I've done it before. Anyway, so I gave him $1.25 and figured that would be enough for him to get a gallon of water. And we talked a little bit about, where I work. He asked me if they were hiring at Whole Foods, because I told him I'd been working over there after coming back from Japan since, I guess, February or so. I told him we're always hiring. It's a really busy store, and he was asking me where it was. And I tried to reference the area by talking about the day laborers who usually stand out in front of the road, because that's usually a pretty characteristic sight to see. And that segued into, obviously he could be doing that. And so I saw his eyes light up when I mentioned that, and I realized that would be a good tip for him. And I was like, yeah, man, you could make $100 a day doing that if you got picked up and everything, and you can make it a regular gig. And he got really excited, and he said that was a great tip. And he said he'd only been in Atlanta for 3 months, so he really didn't know, I guess, the way around. But he recognized the area because he knew the Home Depot that's in the same plaza area. And so he genuinely thanked my hand. He genuinely shook my hand and thanked me. And I felt good about that. It's a nice little karma thing. And it reminded me of this guy that I used to work with named Shannon at Whole Foods. And he told me once, he's like, you're really helpful. And I bet people tell you that all the time. And I realized that sort of a help is what I like to do. Basic human problem solving, things like that. This guy's homeless. He's trying to make it. And here is an opportunity to help him get on his way. And so I'm happy to share things like that. And all before lunchtime. Yes, sir, indeed. And now I'm back at my apartment. Time to eat some food, relax, have yet another cup of coffee. Hopefully no one's home so I can organize things. But we shall see. Talk to you later. It's 2:51, Sunday afternoon, July 28th, I believe. maybe 29th. Hold on. Need to check that for posterity's sake. Let's see. 29th. Okay. I don't remember what I said before even. Anyway, I'm out walking to work. I'm really getting back to my Japanese roots recently, going for these walks. And now that I think about it, interestingly, I never really took coffee with me when I'd go on my walks, which I really should have, especially during the winter. Maybe I did. I don't even remember, actually, truth be told. I probably didn't, though, because I think the only thermal mug, hereafter known as a thermos, that I had, I think it builds up pressure when you carry it around with you, and it will start to leak out the sides, I guess, because all the heat is trying to escape. Leastways, that's the image I've always constructed in my mind when I have observed it's leaking. I thought, why the fuck is it doing that? And then I'll think about how pressure works and how heat wants to expand, and it pushes everything upwards, trying to get outwards, and sometimes that's liquid as well. And so, anyway, I'm on my way to work. I have to work at 3:30 till 10:30. Not looking forward to it. I have Monday off, and then Friday and Saturday off, but I have to work Tuesday through Thursday. Woe is me. And the shifts I think I have from Tuesday to Thursday aren't bad shifts. I think they're midday shifts, starting at like 11 and 10 and shit like that. So it won't be an all-day affair. But man, I really hate going to work. Sip of coffee. Some hair on the floor. Next Wednesday, which will be my last day, after which time I will go on vacation. I will no longer be employed. Ooh, car. You're okay. You go ahead. And I sorely look forward to that already. I'll have a week's worth of vacation, and then I'll start school, which I did a little bit of calculation yesterday, and I actually don't think that I will be graduating until the end of the summer session, which will still be okay, because that should still give me enough time to have everything ready for the Peace Corps exit and everything. But that's about, a couple months later than I thought I would be graduating. So that was sort of a bummer to realize. I had this weird inkling of a feeling, like a flash connection of lightning. And I was like, man, I need to check my academic stuff again to kind of see what I was up against. Because I had this feeling that I have 5 classes I have to take in order to become TEFL certified. And I can only take one this coming semester because it's the prerequisite for all the others. And so I thought, I have 4 classes in after that I need in order to become TEFL certified, but I also have 2 classes that I need to take in order to finish my psychology degree after this semester. So that's 6 classes, which would be at least 18 credit hours, which I don't think you can do at my university. And then on top of that, I have the last class of the TEFL certification process, which has to be taken after one of the classes that comes after the prerequisite, which is a lot to process, especially if you're not trying to process it as I am. But basically it just boils down to the fact that I have 3 semesters left. Another sip of coffee. My sister should be coming down to Atlanta today. She's hanging out with her friend Caitlin, and they're going to the zoo. They were supposed to see Grandpa, but they forgot. How on earth, I have no idea. He's an important man. How do you forget Grandpa? But he was forgotten. So I guess there's a chance I might see them today. They might come by Whole Foods, give me a what's up. And I thought that I was going to be able to make them really laugh, but apparently not. But that's okay. I mean, it's their loss. If it was me, that sort of a thing wouldn't happen. But it's not me, and that's why I did. Today, I finished the Matrix trilogy, which was great. Really, really happy to have done that. I watched the first one a couple weeks ago. Then I went and watched the symphony orchestra do the music to the first one while it played. And then I watched the second one, which really intensely whetted my appetite to finish the series and watch the third one. And so I just finished watching that today, downloaded it off iTunes as a rental. It's the first iTunes purchase I've ever done, and I have to say I'm totally satisfied with it. It was $3.99. Probably could have found a cheaper one through Amazon. And in fact, I know that there was a cheaper one to rent through Amazon, but I was worried because it didn't specifically say that it was iPad supported. And so if they used some sort of a flash module in order to play the video, and then I tried to rent it for $1.99, I would then be frustrated, obviously not able to watch it, and would have to end up spending $3.99 anyway on the iTunes version, which would leave me in the hole a whopping $6 or so. And so, rather than go through the headache and the possible pitfalls of going through a program not necessarily designed for the device that I carry, I just decided to bite the bullet and go with a more expensive one that I knew would work. And I did that last night, and I had intended on watching it last night. However, I didn't take into account the fact that I would actually have to download the DVD, which I was shocked. I thought that it would be streamed or something. But I actually had to download 4 gigs of information to my iPad, which took 2 hours. And needless to say, by the time it was finally done, I wasn't awake enough to watch it, having woken up that morning around 7:50 to go for a walk after having previously before that gone to bed sometime after 1. So I was sleepy. And this morning I had wanted to wake up early again, go for another walk, which I ended up going for a walk, but it wasn't quite the walk that I had originally intended. The walk this morning, I walked to Trader Joe's, which is about a 3-mile round trip. I was hoping to do more of a 5-mile round trip. Walked to little 5 Points and stuff. But such was not the case. I woke up at around 7:50, and I was tired as hell. And I just didn't even have the willpower to be counteracting that huge desire to stay in bed. So I slept and slept and slept and woke up at 9:20. And that's when I decided to go to Trader Joe's as a good compromise. A nice middle of the ground type thing. Another sip of coffee. And so I did. I went to Trader Joe's. Talked to my sister along the way, which was nice, although when I was talking on the phone, my arms were kind of uncomfortable because I had my coffee in my hand and the phone in the other, so my shoulders were like totally out of sync with each other. Kind of made my arms a little bit sore and all of that, but it was still a good conversation. And then I came back to my house, did push-ups, checked email, ate some food, well, after push-ups, that is, and watched The Matrix. And then Yogli got back. We talked for a little while, and I left at 2:50. So today's been a good day. Better than most days that I have to go to work. And I'm just not looking forward to it. When I first started working, I would work earlier shifts and more consistently. I would maybe have a closing shift every couple weeks or so. And that's kind of hard to believe too, because if I think about that, I've been with Whole Foods now for, I got back in February. I got the job a little bit after Valentine's Day. So middle of February. This is basically the end of July. So February, so March, April, May, June, July. Been there for 5 months. God, that's insane. I wouldn't say it's been a waste of time because I've been able to do a lot of stuff, a lot of experiments, and it's been successful. But, every experiment has to come to an end, review the results, move on to the next experiment, which I'm excited. The pathway to and of the next experiment, which will be living in Grant Park if everything goes well with this house that my parents are trying to purchase, are being laid for me. I moved to Atlanta on my own insistence, got a job at my own insistence, but now I'll be able to go on autopilot for that stuff for a little while. Hey, how's it going? And that'll be nice. Oh, Lord. It'd be nice just to be able to walk today. If I could walk, if I could do what I want to today, I would probably, I'd probably go to the aquarium, to be honest. Meet my sister and Caitlin there, look around, enjoy. Part ways with them eventually when I'm ready again to be by myself. But, oh well. I always hope so desperately that when I show up at work, they'll tell me they don't need me that day and that I can go home. I feel like I'm the only one there who doesn't really want to make money. I have $160 in the bank right now. I get paid sometime relatively soon again. And, I just don't really need much money. I have consistently and comfortably lived well below my means now for 5 months, and know that I could continue to do so to an indefinite point in the future. And so that's the conclusion to that experiment, the living on my own means experiment. I understand what I was trying to understand. And so now it's just, kind of beating a dead horse, repetition without repercussion, shall we say, which doesn't make any sense, but it sounds cool. Repetition without repercussion. Another sip of coffee. Getting down to the last sips of this coffee. Which actually, coffee is another thing I'd like to talk about real quick as soon as I take this sip. Of all the things that I'm willing to be deprived of, should I be accepted into the Peace Corps, coffee is not one of them. And in fact, I hope I got my mug, my coffee mug, my thermos, because I'd like to be drinking some coffee at work, which I'm not technically supposed to do. But cashiers are the only ones in the entire store who aren't allowed to drink coffee, and I think that is fucking stupid. And since I'm on the way out anyway, I say fuck that rule. I'm going to drink coffee, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. And it makes it a little bit more exciting. I think it creates this sort of subconscious placebo effect to increase the effect of the caffeine and all, because I'm not supposed to be drinking it. So I have to take each sip extremely conspicuously, like some sort of huge clandestine operation going on. I have to turn my back to my supervisors and take a quick swig, let the tastes wash over me, the caffeine permeate my blood, and then turn back around to face the dopey-faced customer. Oh, supercharged with cognitive and physical ability, deal with their stupid bullshit, pack up their stupid groceries, talk to them about their stupid little lives. Just joking. Although, not always is that sentiment far from the truth, but it's never, ever the majority of the time. I enjoy those people to a certain extent, though I can't help but still be frustrated by them in one capacity or another for the majority of the time. Quick sip. 14 minutes. It's been a 14-minute clip. It's probably 3:06. I should get there right on time. 24 minutes. Yeah, I'll probably walk in at like 3:23 or something. Just enough time to reorganize my backpack. I had a huge urge to walk to Inman Park. I think that'd be nice. But I can't do that either. I'd like to tell my sister to go do that so she can carry out my vicarious desire. But what would be the point? What would be the point? Oh, such a nice day. I think I would feel compelled to wear this outfit, even if I wasn't going to work today. Which really is my standard outfit minus shorts plus jeans. So nice. Going from the blinding sun to a nice shaded area. Bunch of trees. Nice houses. A soft breeze. Another sip. Getting close. I don't want to lose the ability to drink coffee if I go abroad. I wonder, well, fuck that, who cares? Ugh. Last sip of coffee syndrome. Ugh. Cold. Tepid. Callow. Nasty. The last sip of coffee is never the best. Such a sleepy day. I don't see anybody. I wonder if everyone is so pathetic as to spend a glorious day like this inside watching the stupid Olympics. Man, I haven't given those stupid things any thought until now, since yesterday. Who cares about that stuff? It's so weird that it's so popular. I feel like everyone cares only because everyone cares. Just another trend. Popularity kind of thing. Dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb. I have had a lot of coffee, and it's making me feel mad. I don't eat no sugared toffee. I prefer the big black bag of beans. I grind them up, put them in a cup, and I separate the ones impure. And then I transfer those into the mush, in which knows its nose. It adds water, hot to the touch, and through a filter it does make a black liquid, which in this cup the universe elucidates. Oh yes, I truly love my Joe, my Cafe Splenda cup. And if I had to go without non-stop, I would say fuck. For without this drink, from which all springs, be it creative desire or the two, it is so sad to wake thee up and go without the brew. If man could see the true value of this drink I often sip, he'd likely make it hard to get, for thus is his propensity towards things which imply that a better life can be found and lived through chemicals which, if taken often enough, can then produce an effect that becomes something that is like a smoke screen that does grease the line of lucidity between reality and a dream world, created, fabricated in the minds of those who make it, both in terms of space and coffee's taste. Yes, these things of which I speak of, for as I walk and turn to chalk, my hand so that the cup does not fall about and spill to floor. A wasteful death I dream not to ever take this blessed nut away from me without it being a consensual choice from a sentient being. For I cannot think of a single time I have not felt European Americano is so sad to water down such beauty. If it were me, I'd times it 3 and drink it with such fury. 3 times 2 is 6, you know, and 6 dips of espresso can fill a cup up to the top. But can you drink it within the time it has in which it's hot, before it turns so tepid, and with the last sip drawn to lip, you can see the sediment, the guts from which there are no witcher, the stains of that which binds the molecules within our brains and sets the sleepiness out to live alone and die abroad. For here is for the wicked, the people who can see the truth, and those who are creative. They try so hard, and with its aid, they are able to dispel that which counteracts and goes between the state in which they live in, the state which is the dichotomy between restfulness and recreation. It's 3:14 post-meridian, and I am almost at work. Though people pass on left and right, they know not what I speak of. For if they did, they'd surely skid and stop and start the asking. They'd say, "What's this?" and "How do you know?" and "Is this something placid?" It's 3:15. An alarm has sound, did to let me know that it's time to go. Jump on the bike and head to WFM. That stands for Whole Foods Market, yes. It's true, it has an acronym which defines it as that which it is. And though it isn't impressive, it serves as such an image is to dispel all ambiguity. Anyway, that was a nice little song. I enjoyed it, but I could sense repetition was beginning to occur. And now, since I have walked here today, I will have to walk back later tonight, which means a 30-minute commute home. But thankfully, I've already done my push-ups for today, so it doesn't really bother me to use that 30 minutes to walk home. I think it'll be nice. And as I draw ever nearer, I think that 3:23 as an arrival time will probably be exactly whence I do. Not much more to say. So I'll sign off now and approach the coming death with arms wide open. Good night.
That's not our books, though.
I'm just saying with the message.
So what do you do your
Yeah, but that was
podcast
a
there?
stage. That's first grade.
Mostly just
It's like we in college. I'm trying to we have an
Like,
intellectual,
content
universal conversation.
Yeah, I
You
just
keep
want to
saying,
know, like,
well, in third grade, I learned.
What goes to the podcast, I guess.
Thoughts about anything that I'm having.
I'm a Yamasi.
For a little while, I wish I'd interview
Gentle
people,
person. It means gentle
but
person.
that kind of, it's more
Means
difficult to do,
gentle until, of
hard to
course,
schedule
they
time
run
with
the wrong
people,
way.
and hard to
No, I'm
find
not
people who want to
black.
sit down and talk about
I'm
something.
brown.
What did you interview about? Just anything or
Melanin.
anything?
Yeah. Sometimes I would
No, it's
create
not.
like
Melanin comes in different shades
lists
and colors.
of questions
It's
for
brown
people depending
melanin.
on who they were.
Yes, you do. Okay.
All right.
But most of the time, I would just try to get like a encapsulation of someone to see what their
You have
essence
dark
is.
people, yes, you do.
Nice.
Very dark in Africa. I've been there. I've seen them. So you're accurate. There are melanin can be what appears to be black, but
Wow.
melanin can also be brown.
What is the original name? What color?
So,
No, you don't know about what you said. What you just
I'm not believing.
It's created in cells. It's called melanoma. It's created. Your body creates melanin. What you mean? Because it's a chemical reaction. It appears as brown to you.
I don't know.
It appears as
This.
brown.
oh, that's what I.
brown thumb.
Yeah.
No.
You're like have to go back and
I'm saying,
analyze it.
does
I don't
manifest?
understand
It can
if
be
they
black.
agree or if they disagree with each
It can
other.
be brown.
I don't know what the
It appears
positions are yet.
Which is first.
Just get on Wikipedia.
So
I
melon.
will.
Just
People debating outside Whole Foods, common
It's
themes.
not a color.
it's cool.
It's just
energy.
it's the kind of conversation you have if you don't want an iPhone.
Okay, what's the color? You say you know.
Okay, so what's the color?
Black, white. Simple.
I don't have an iPhone.
It's
I don't
7.
Normally engage in this conversation.
Red, orange, yellow,
But you
green.
talking about the rainbow.
This is the spot. This is where you
That's a
talk.
print.
I met with Tyrone here. Yeah,
Rainbow.
yeah,
I
Tyrone.
know about that, brother.
Your rainbow is broken. It breaks
Just name the color
brother.
of the rainbow.
Science is this. This is science. This is
The
science.
iced coffee
A
here is
rainbow breaks up the colors.
I wondered what you were
of light.
doing.
Color spectrum.
The color spectrum, which
What
is
is the
what?
first color?
Red. I just said it. Red, orange, yellow.
What color?
I can't think at all. This
Indigo
is so fucking loud. It's crazy.
What color is the universe?
It depends on what you mean. I don't know what you mean by universe. I don't know what you mean by universe.
Outside of
You didn't have to try.
outside of sunlight.
It's darkness exists. Yeah.
It ain't no darkness, brother. Darkness is just a nuance of black. That's all darkness is. It's just a nuance.
Okay. So what is it? What do you consider it? Because it's all English. I can give you this. Okay. Let's do this.
What about that swap?
That's before Arabic.
Bro, that is Arabic.
I said before Arabic.
I just said that's why.
No, Arabic is Aswad. Before yeah, let's go. This is what I do.
Let's go.
Okay, so before the Semitic languages, what language was the Egyptians
I
speaking?
told you, brother. Arab.
No, they were not. The Egyptians were not Arabs. The Egyptians spoke Nuwapic, and they had a written language called hieroglyphs, and they were the first to create paper called papyrus from a plant. So, okay, so don't go.
That's history.
That's not history. That's our story. History is his story.
Now let me tell you, we know about that, brother.
No, we'll make it. We'll say it right.
We know about his story.
Let's go.
Now let me tell you something.
Let's
brother.
go. Yeah.
Okay, now tell us something about the planet Earth.
What about it?
Check it out.
The deportation of the moon.
The
Tell me something.
The moon was broken off from the planet Earth 60 billion years ago. Yes, it was. No, not trillion.
Relaxation has
No
been
trillion, no.
How?
I'm going to explain. A crack.
Pull out the hat and get that
The
started.
Nibiru hit the
Usually people crack
planet
open a
and
beer,
caused the
but no,
moon
parents
to be
do that.
separated from the planet Earth.
I think you guys should
When
walk
the
the
Nibiru was
belt
coming
line.
in several billion
Yeah.
years ago, and it didn't see Uranus.
You could walk
in its
from here
path
to
the
Piedmont
first
Park.
time. It veered off of course. Let me explain it.
Or you could walk that
This
way
is the information
and go to get
that we
coffee
need. Don't cut me off.
or something.
All right, so I'm gonna give you before the start. I'm gonna, don't do that, because I'm taking you. Okay,
Let's
now
get to the point.
the veered off the course, and Meldick was in its way. It hit Meldick, which was the 10th planet. Destroyed Meldick. The beings from Meldick attacked the Nibiru. That's how you have the asteroid belt in the middle of the solar system going counterclockwise, because there was an accident in the universe from these beings who hold on, don't It's a long point.
No,
because it's a story.
just
Okay.
summarize.
No, I'm not going to summarize it because these facts need to be stated. You gave me the floor. You gave me the floor. You gave me the floor. As a man, give me the floor. I got some information to give you.
Working right now.
So this craft hit Nibiru. I mean, Nibiru hit this planet. The asteroid belt was created.
It's a good picture.
And it came in and hit Earth. When it hit Earth, it split the planet in two parts. One part became the moon, the other part was broke off. It had to mend itself. That's why you have Grand Canyon. That's why the Earth is off its axis, because it was hit, and originally human beings were ambidextrous. They can use right and left at their hand. But because the planet Earth is tilted on its axis, because of that crash, it caused human beings to become predominantly right-handed. And these beings, hold on, these beings, no, I'm not finished. I'm gonna quote the messenger. I'm not going far. Because he spoke, nah, brother, people want to hear this.
But you leave it.
I'm not leaving out
The water that was on
Jellyfish behind
I'm
me.
going to explain it.
Okay,
Once the craft hit the planet, the moon was put into its
It's the first one she took, and then she took off the flash. That wasn't ready.
The water froze.
I wanted pictures of
On the
the
planet.
jellyfish.
that's the best in your teaching, brother. That's the best in your teaching.
He knew
That was taught back in the
like
30s
that
before
alligator
y'all
thing.
was born.
Of course, because it's facts.
Yeah, my camera died.
Well,
So.
say that then. What would you say that's the teachings of the
Today is Monday, July 30th. It's about 11:15 in the a.m. Currently walking to Aurora Coffee in Little Five Points to meet Lindsay and talk about her recent trip to Chicago and just everything else that's up. And I was just walking behind a woman who had a dog, and I could smell the first little fragments of cigarette smoke wafting back towards me from her. And I was about to make my way across the street because I think that I don't like that kind of smell. It makes me think that I'm going to get cancer or some sort of disease from the secondhand inhalation. And so I was about to cross the street. But then as a few more fragments hit my nostrils and really processed in my mind, I realized that it was a very nostalgic cigarette smell. It reminded me immediately of the cigarettes that all my friends used to smoke back in my freshman year of college. The Turkish Camels or something? Turkish Royal? Yeah, Camel Turkish Royal, which have a very specific smell. And I guess this was back in the day when everyone was still being supported enough by their parents to where they could afford the premium cigarettes, because now most of them have dissolved into just buying the cheapest pack that they can in order to be able to smoke and fix their addiction. But it just reminded me of so much, so many memories. Mostly, I guess, being at Berean with Brittany, being at the Commons out in the little circle pit where we all would go talk and drink coffee. Great smell. And interestingly, I never even crossed my mind to try one myself. I would have never, ever even considered doing that. That to me is tantamount retardation, but it's interesting. Just the power of smells. And just the other day, when I had walked to Octane in Grant Park, I was encountered by a smell that was sort of a crossbreed between what I associate the smell of my cousins, the Fitzpatrick's home, and the Finley's home to smell like, which my sister will know both of those smells, although definitely more so the Fitzpatrick smell. It's a very nostalgic smell. It just reminds me of childhood, excitement, adventure. We would go to Indiana, but it would never be for exaggerated amounts of time, and it would usually be pretty sporadic in terms of, from one year to the next, we may or may not go to Indiana. So the time spent away definitely piled up more quickly than the time spent there. And so it was always fun to go there in a strange way. It was like visiting another country. It was just so foreign, All my life, my family, we've lived in cities, because my dad's job has necessitated that. He works on the building of buildings, and obviously that's something that usually takes place in cityscapes, and so we've lived in Washington, D.C., or at least in the immediate area, Orlando, Florida, another metropolis, and then now Atlanta, Georgia. So the majority of my life has been led in and around cities, and so to go to Indiana is such a difference in pace, in lifestyle. The very landscape itself is different. You can actually look out in a state like Indiana and you can see for a mile at a time, sometimes multiple miles depending on the area you're in. But somewhere like Atlanta, which granted, if there were less trees maybe you could see farther, you just really can't see it. Everything tends to be obscured by a large building or a series of houses or condominiums, things like that. So Indiana, it's very much so a breath of fresh air. And the smells of Indiana also are very, very unique and definitely not found anywhere else, at least ways by my nose. And it just reminds me of exploring my grandma's barn. There was always this strange, it was almost like a primal fascination with fire and firearms and digging with your hands and trying to find animals and arrowheads. It's like a preservation of the primal lifestyle of humanity, the step before metropolitization, the step before industrialization and urbanization. It's almost like a time capsule going back in time and reliving the things that are so hardwired into our existence because for a longer time they've existed as the sole means of existence. And that's a lot of use of the word existence. And so that kind of a smell, anything that reminds me of that immediately reminds me of the distilled feeling of what it's like to be in Indiana. And throughout life I like to chase these feelings. There's several other smells that are, top tier type smells in terms of their efficaciousness. Another smell, again, that I know my sister would identify with is the smell, and anytime you can find it, of the Epcot ball at Disney World, particularly the part of the ride in which you're going by the early humanoids and they are cooking using a fire, and just the smell, the manufactured smell of smoke that they created in there is very, very pungent. Very, very, it smells like smoke, but there's still a crucial and distinct difference between real smoke and the smell that they've produced. And sometimes outside of that ride, you'll encounter that smell. I'll encounter that smell. Lauren will encounter that smell. And it will just be this immediate throwback. Years and years and years previous to the moment in which we smell it, we're just immediately rushed back. And, you can feel what it was like again to be a child, enveloped in the mystery and the wonder of the world, and all brought back by simply and inadvertently and indirectly having a smell waft into your nose. You may not even know the origin of the smell. For me, even though a second ago when I was walking behind that woman, I assumed she was smoking because there was no one else in sight. I didn't actually see her with a cigarette in her hand, lifting it to her face, taking a drag, letting her hand fall back down by her waist, watching the smoke trail out of her mouth and nose. None of that happened. So, truthfully, I don't know where that smell came from. But I know definitely what it made me feel like, what it reminded me of, and where it took me. And so, the power of smell. They say lamely now that scent is the strongest sense tied to memory, and that's almost become a cliche. When I hear that, it's just some things don't need to be repeated after they're sort of part of the cosmic consciousness. And I feel like most Americans know that to be a fact, or at least a cliche commonality that's been said a lot. So I won't repeat it in any type of sincerity. But anyway, I'm now at Trader Joe's. I'm going to get some quick breakfast, flattened bananas and an apple, and then I'm going to head on further towards Lindsay. So I'll talk to you later. Goodbye. Today is August 3rd, I believe, a Friday, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 a.m. I'm walking right now to get to my laundry, and it was a little bit of a debate this morning as to when I would do my laundry, if I would do it today or tomorrow, but I have to go back to Lilburn today so I can spend some time with my aunt and uncle and cousin, and I don't want to get there too late. And so even though I was planning on walking to Pineapple House today, if I were to do that, that would be an 8-mile walk, which would probably take at least 3 hours, maybe even 4. And so if I were to have left at 9:30, which is when I finish my push-ups, which would be a very, very, very liberal estimate as to my departure time, that would mean that I would be walking for 10, 11, 12, 1. Well, I guess that would have worked out because I would have gotten back at 1-ish if everything had worked out with really good timing. And then I would just leave straight from there and go home. But rather than do that, I guess I'll pour my efforts into maximizing my walking time tomorrow. And I got in touch with Angel this morning, who I haven't heard from for a really long time. And he told me that he might have tomorrow off too. And so maybe a good Beltline walk or something like that. Some sort of an outdoors adventure. I haven't seen him for a really long time. He's trying to become a CSX train engineer. So he's been really busy doing, I guess, 70-hour weeks, which is probably, it's got to be one of the worst things I can imagine doing. But my only reference point is if I were to be working 70 hours at Whole Foods, which would, god damn, that would be awful. That would be constantly at Whole Foods. I mean, 8 times 7. That's 49. That's, god, that would be more than 8 hours every day. That'd be like, that's 10 hours every day. Obviously, that's insane. But I suppose he's probably spending a lot of that time on the train, and it's not like you can do anything while you're on the train other than be there. So if the trip takes a round trip, 10 hours to do, like going to Athens or something, which is something I know he does somewhat regularly, then I guess you're in for the long haul regardless. You don't really have a choice. And so, all that aside, I've decided to make today somewhat more of a day that I will utilize for its utility, get rid of some of my responsibilities that need to get addressed and everything, so that tomorrow can be the day that is really, really fun. See if I can cross the street without these retards giving me a hard time. This morning, I woke up at around 8:30, kind of startled. Like I had a dream that I wouldn't really call a nightmare, but definitely not a good dream. My nightmares these days, maybe for the past few years or so, have predominantly been ones where, like, there was a pregnancy or some sort of a disease. My dreams, my nightmares tend to just be me experiencing what would be my greatest fear, or some derivation thereof. And so this morning I woke up and I had this dream. It was a weird dream. I don't really remember the context or how it got from where it began to where it ended. But there was some woman or something. It's going to be vague and stupid. There was a woman, and she and I were like kissing, trying to have sex, and we were trying to do it clandestinely because I guess my parents were close, and I don't know who this woman was. I think she had red hair, but maybe not. And so we decided to leave the living room, which is I think where we were fooling around, and headed to some back bedroom. We were in some house I'd never been to before or seen, and when we were able to be alone, we were able to take all of our clothes off. And so while we were taking off all our clothes, somehow she became a man. And I realized that I was trying to have sex with a man and might have already previously had sex with that man in the other room a little bit during our, I don't know, more, before we had left the living room and gotten into the bathroom or the bedroom or wherever we were. And so I was immediately worried that I had contracted AIDS, which I know is a horrible thing to associate with homosexuality, because not all homosexuals have AIDS. It's not a sexually preferential disease, but still, in my subconscious mind, that was the first thing that I feared. And so I think I asked if I had to go get tested or if he had any diseases or anything. And from that point of the dream, he sort of morphed into this guy who has been at some of the Peace Corps service projects and panel discussions that have been put on recently. It's this older man who goes to Kennesaw State, who is trying to become a biology teacher, and he's a very effeminate man, he's very soft and squishy, it seems to me. Seems like a man who doesn't go outside very often, and he has a very sort of translucent skin, very delicate, just not very weathered, despite his older age and larger number of years. I just feel like he's still babyish. And he may not be, in fact, a homosexual, but he is definitely not the standard man. Which, really, there is no such thing as a standard, but to me, talking about my own archetypes. So, somehow the dream turned into that, and I was asking him if I needed to get tested, and he told me that he was so disappointed because he didn't understand why someone like me would like him, but he was really excited by it. And I think he called himself a belt, like referring to himself, like he said that when he was saying that he was surprised that I would be going for him. It's like, I never thought that someone would be going for a belt like me. So I didn't understand why he called himself a belt. That was weird. But maybe that's some sort of subconscious terminology or some weird association I have between homosexuals and the belt line because of Angel, who actually ended up contacting me today, obviously, which is interesting. Perhaps I was tapping into something a little bit more of the collective unconscious or something like that. Not really sure. But woke up like that. It was intense. Not a good way to wake up, but a good way to wake up in the fact that I got up really early. So, two sides to every coin. It was a bad dream, a scary dream, but it got me up at 8:30, so that's pretty awesome. I'll take it. I'll take that again, if I can, any and every other day. And so, getting really close already to the laundromat. Surprising, it only took 8 minutes to get here. I thought it would take like 15 or so. Nope. So across the street, these retards. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Talk to you soon. Bye.